Hello, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Louise and this is Louise's Lifestyle. Thank you for joining me. Today we're looking at my converted fish tank into a terrarium setup. This has all happened about April this year. Fortunately, my fish died, so instead of replacing the fish, I decided to clean out the tank and use this to help some cuttings, young plants, etc., to see how they get on, because it's not heated, but it does have a light in there, so you can see the light. I'm not sure what wattage it is. And the gravel, I've retained the gravel that was obviously at the bottom of the tank, and I keep it quite wet. I don't know if you can tell if it's shiny enough, but it's quite moist, and that helps with creating a kind of humidity. I don't know how humid it is in this tank when the lid is on, but the plants seem to the plants that I've got in here seem to be doing okay, and I've used it as a kind of a sick bay as well, because I'll show you some of the plants here. I'll just move that a little bit to one side. This plant here is my Piper nigrum, or what's left of it. I got the Piper nigrum from Bangladesh. My husband brought it back in 2018, and it was a nice plant with had full length peppercorns attached to it. So, you know, I definitely had the real deal there, because previously I'd got peppercorn plants or Piper nigrum plants that had no peppercorns attached, so I could never tell if they were the real deal or not, because the leaves are very similar to other leaves in the Piper family. But this plant grew very well, and until recently this plant started to suffer severe dieback, the leaves turning black, and I suspected there was some kind of root rot issues. So I did trim off some of the horrible roots, and I've repotted it in this mix here, sort of orchid bark compost, and it did lose all the leaves, and these are the new leaves that it's formed. Sorry, just sort of yanked it out of the pot there. And there's still some issues with the plant. You know, the leaves don't look terribly good. These are the new leaves that it put out, so it's still got some issues. I may have to have a check of the roots again and see what's going on. You know, there might be some more root rot in there that's causing these like dark patches on the leaves. So I have actually used some cinnamon as well on the stem there. As you can see, there was an issue there. It was turning black like a sooty mould. So I put cinnamon on there to stop it spreading, and so far that seems to have helped. And these, as I say, are newish leaves, not 100% looking wonderful, but you know, they are signs that the plant is still capable of putting out new growth. So hopefully I can help that plant restore it back to its natural state, you know, the original state I got it in at least. So that's Piper nigrum, and this is the Philodendron verrucosum. So those of you who watch my channel and are interested in Philodendron verrucosum will know I got this as a cutting back in 2020 during the first few months of the pandemic, and I got it as a single leaf cutting, no roots on it. And I have done a few videos on this plant. It's been through root rot, how I rescued it from root rot. It's had spider mites. It recently had spider mite, and after I brought it in here, so I brought this in that set up, was it in May? I think in May I brought it in here, and it only had the one leaf at that time. Then it started to put out more leaves, but in the 2 years that I've had it, it's never had more than 2 leaves at a time. So it'd have one good leaf, and then it started to put out another, and then the original leaf would die off. And I had it in the upstairs bedroom that faces southeast, and without any humidifier or anything like that. And yeah, that's all it was doing, putting out 2 leaves. So since it's been in here, as I say, it started off with 1 leaf, and then recently it did start to grow a bit long. You can see that I've had to wind it around this pot because it was falling, you know, it kept flopping over. And then last month I put this wire around it to anchor it, and now when I lift the plant up I don't have to worry about it flopping over, and that seems to have helped. It seems to like being in a stable position, because in the last month all this new growth here, these smaller leaves that you see, is brand new. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 leaves, and this little stem down, well, little plantlet seems to have formed at the base of the stem. So it seems to be a lot better, and it's not getting those brown markings that it originally had. You know, it seems to be because they are prone to getting these brown sort of marks on the leaves. The leaves are lovely, you know, they've got these velvety leaves, and they've got this lovely red colouring on the back, makes them so striking. So yeah, I'm going to keep that in here for as long as possible until it outgrows the tank. And then as I said before, I use this as a place to give my plants, it's not just a sick bay, but you know, for cuttings to start off. And this is a cassia piper beetle, and I managed to root this in the past month, and it's doing really well. It's got nice roots there. I don't know if you can see the white roots branching out. And I had another one of these which I recently sold, and that was in this tank as well. It was doing really well. It's getting the light from here. I could take them out and, you know, put them on the windowsill. They do okay there, but you know, I've got the space. While I have the space, I'll keep it in this setup. But you don't have to, you know, if you've got a piper beetle, cassia they do fine on a windowsill, as long as it's not too strong, the sunlight, you know, it's not burning hot. I've also got some seeds on the go. I've got the coffee seeds, they're in there. Nothing happening just yet. No heat, as I say, coming from the base of the tank. It's just the gravel. And I've got some Mame sapote seeds, or shoffer seeds, soaking there. A little bit of water. I did take some to the Parswood Rural Studies. I did a video of that the other day, and I took some seeds for them to have a go at germinating, because I've got a lot better conditions than this setup here. And this is this was actually a runner. So this little brown section there, about 1.5 inches long, was a runner from an established colocacia. And literally just from that, it wasn't rooted, and within, I think I've only had like 2 weeks, it's developed these roots, and 1, 2, 3 leaves have recently emerged. Only tiny, but you know, it doesn't matter. It can grow slowly over the winter, and maybe by spring it'll be a nice established plant. And here is the Piper Chaba, or Chuijal. This isn't the original plant. This is the cutting I took from it. Unfortunately, the original plant died. I don't know if it got root rot. It suddenly just started to fail, and I tried to rescue it, but it just rapidly deteriorated. And that's the problem with beetle leaf. They can just suddenly go very quickly. So it's important, if you've got an established plant, do take cuttings from it. Like that's a cutting from the cassia, and it's always good to keep one plant in reserve. So I'm not going to be selling that one. I'm going to keep that one. So this Piper Chab, as I say, is the cutting from the parent plant, and if you followed my channel, you'll know that when I brought the Piper Chaba back from Bangladesh, or Chui Jal, I almost threw it in the bin. I did actually throw it in the bin, and mistakenly, and I managed to get that plant back and revived it. It was doing well, and sadly, just suddenly it's died on me. But this one, as you can see, try and get in a bit closer. You can see the roots there. You don't need to bury the stem in the soil. As long as it's got contact with the surface that is moist, it will send down roots. And you can see the roots there around the bottom. I'm not going to repot it. It's got roots. It's not pot bound, you know. I can see the, oh, I will say that it's not pot bound. So on this side, it seems to have developed the roots a lot better. But I'm going to keep it here. I'm not going to disturb it too much. You know, as long as it gets water. So every couple of days, maybe 3 or 4 days, I'll just flush water through there, and that's all it needs. It's getting the light in here. It's getting humidity from the gravel, you know, the wet gravel. So yeah, that can stay in here. And this is another chili seedling. This is, I think, another Carolina Reaper. Not labelled it, but I'm pretty sure looking at the shape of it, it's the Carolina Reaper. And down here, I've got a mango seed. This is a Brazilian mango. Well, it was a Brazilian mango. I took the seed out. It was quite a hefty size when I bought it. It was 900 grams, so just under a kg, and it was quite a hefty mango, and I've never seen a Brazilian mango that big before, so I thought, well, it might be worth trying to germinate. So it was wrapped in tissue, but the tissue seemed to get a bit mouldy, so I'm taking the tissue off, and I'll just keep that moist. So and I'll put maybe a little bit of water down in this container so it doesn't completely dry out. And you can see there's a little bit of a shoot emerging there. So whether this turns out to be a polyembryonic or a monoembryonic, I've no idea what variety this is. You know, all it said on the box that you know, I bought it from, it said Brazil, you know, origin Brazil. And that's it really. So this is my setup, my little terrarium converted fish tank. Tell me what you think. If you're interested in doing something like this yourself, I mean, if you've got a fish tank that you no longer use, maybe that could be converted. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.